Hey, Tubies. This is Bob Hickman. It is so good to be back with you. I always get excited when it's time for messages from the spirit world. But before we get into the letters today, I want to say thank you to all of you who came out to my recent videos. My last video was on the Andromedans. And if you haven't seen that, that's the video right before this. Check it out. And the video right before that was horoscopes for October. So if you haven't got your horoscope yet, go check it out. We still got some month left, and you can get your snapshot, your psychic snapshot of October for your zodiac sign. If you don't know your zodiac sign, I give the birth dates for each sign in the video, so check it out. Well, I'm so glad you're here. You guys have been sending me a lot of letters, and I'm getting so many letters. You got to forgive me. I know a lot of you are waiting to hear from me. I am working on getting back to a lot of you, so don't worry. But today I thought we'd get in a few of your letters, and I'm so glad you're here. So before we get into that, give me just a moment and let me attune to the spirit world. Okay, I hear my spirit guide Fletcher back here. He says hello to all of you. All right, our first letter tonight is from Jameslindborg, and he says, Dear Bob, I bought blue kyanite, black kyanite, auralite 23, and gold calcite to help with astral projection. Do you recommend these, and do you astral project? You know, James, I like to say really any crystalline substance that you feel drawn to is good for you. The ones that you have bought certainly are wonderful. I think blue kyanite's an excellent choice. Auralite 23, gold calcite, wonderful. All of these are good. But the most important thing is when we talk about astral travel is that you want to establish a connection with your spirit people. So before you go to bed or you lay down to project, ask for them to be present and help carry you over. Now the crystals are wonderful because those help raise the frequency, the energy in the body, and give a little more impetus. It's like kind of having a battery pack to kind of charge you to jump out further. So yes, the crystals can help, but they are not absolutely essential. There's no one crystal for any one person that has, that you have to have. So you can't say, well, I don't have blue kyanite, so I can't do astral projection. No, because astral projection is a work of the spirit. And as I say, certainly the crystals can help with that, but they are not the sole purpose or cause of our astral projection. So yeah, I do think these are help you. I think they're wonderful. But remember, the main thing is ask for the spirit people to help you. Okay? Blessings to you. Thanks for waiting. Next letter is from Neil for Neil James, and he says, Dear Psychic Bob, can you tell me if my finances will be okay in this market? Hi, Neil. We are going to see in the coming months some more, I call it crazy roller coaster activity in the economy. But over the long term, I do believe there'll be some stability. Don't panic. I want you to think of your investments and your finances as longer term holdings, and you'll see that over time, you're going to be okay. You've got to avoid panic in the short term because we are, as I said, going to see more economic upheavals and some craziness. But for your journey, I see growth. I see longer term stability. So you're going to be fine, okay? Hope that helps. Blessings to you. All right, our next letter is from Genevieve, and she says, Dear Psychic Bob, I had a reading with another psychic recently. She told me some aspects of my personal life, but I didn't understand why I would choose a path that tortures me so much. Is it possible for our paths to change, or is it all down to fate? You know, Jenna, first of all, I don't believe in fate. I believe in free will of the spirit. And, in terms of your life, if you find yourself now in a place of struggle, and I have to tell you, around you, I do pick up a lot of anxiety here and a lot of, kind of a feeling of being blocked. I tell you that you don't have to stay on that path. Sometimes what happens is we come into our life and we bring over past life karma. and we bring over, unfulfilled goals. And we sometimes jump into things that are actually a continuation of a past life, but really sometimes those goals and those paths don't really serve us in this life. And when we talk about karma and fate, I like to say nobody's controlled by really either of those. Karma is energy. It can be good energy, it can be bad energy. And sometimes, people say, well, say, Bob, I knew a person, they were evil all their life and they had a wonderful life and they were blessed. Well, that may be true, but long term, ultimately, karma is worked out. And how we work that out and when we work that out, actually, if we're spiritually aware, is our choice. So you don't have to even be controlled necessarily by those. So if you're finding yourself in a place where you feel like your path is just not working, you're suffering, and why am I going through this? You want to have what I call a talk with your higher self. And you ask your higher self, you say, higher self, do I need to go this course anymore? I feel like I've learned all that I can learn, or I haven't learned anything from it. Give me wisdom, give me insight. And as you connect back to that higher self, doors will start to open and you will get a real sense of when it's time to change directions. We do come to the earth choosing life paths, but even those can be altered. So nothing is truly locked in without option to change. I always like to say, you write your contract and you can also amend your contract. So if your life is in a place where you're saying, like for example, let's say you were doing healing work and you took a job as a nurse or a doctor and you realized that you'd rather pursue artistic studies, be an actor rather than a doctor. Well, you would want to rewrite your life contract and ask for that to be your focus. And as you submit that literally to the universe and to the powers that be, they will open up doors for you to move on your new path. So I don't believe we have to be stuck on a path, but I do believe that if we want to change paths, we must work through our higher self and in harmony with the spirit world, and they'll help us to move in the right direction. I hope that helps a little bit. Blessings to you. All right, our next letter is from Zayden Greenlover. And Zayden Greenlover says, Dear Bob, my American Bulldog had to be put to rest. She was 15 plus years old. I'm so sad she's gone. Are there any messages from her? Yeah. Your dog went straight to the light. You don't have to worry. In fact, she comes to visit you, actually. Animals and spirits, see, they're not burdened by the sorrows and struggles we humans have. We get ourselves all in emotional wrecks and we become earthbound and ghost-like. But animals are much purer in their makeup. They don't carry all the karmic drama and trauma. So I can tell you, your dog, first of all, went straight to the light. She's at peace. I can also tell you that since her passing, she's been to visit you. And I want you to put out like her favorite food bowl and put food in it for her, because that's a sign that she's still welcome. I don't pick up that she's suffering. I get the sense right before she crossed, she really was in a place of suffering. There was a severe arthritic condition in her body, and she also had digestive issues. I don't see that around her anymore. She's in a spirit body that will never age, never become ill, and never suffer or die. And so she's eternally at peace, and she's in the light, and she will come. So you just call her, say, Maggie, come visit me. I'd love to talk to you. Put out a bowl of water and some food for her, preferably her favorite foods. And she'll be there right at that area, and you can talk with her. And in time, you'll get the sense. If you're feeling alone one night and you're in bed and you're scared, you call her, say, Maggie, will you come sit with me? And your dog shall come and sit with you. I tell you, my own Chihuahuas, I grew up with a lot of Chihuahuas, and a lot of times they'll come visit me in spirit, and I love them. So yes, animals will come and visit. And I can tell you, your dog is with you, and all you got to do is ask for her to be present. You'll sense her. Okay. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I know she's in the light. Blessings to you. Our next letter is from Molly's Universe. Hello, Molly. Good to see you. And she says, Dear Psychic Bob, what happened to Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina Brown? I believe there are bad guys harassing and killing celebrities. I don't understand why. Well, you know, Molly, to tell you the truth, yes, there are many celebrities that are being harassed, set up, and murdered. But actually, in the case of Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina Brown, it wasn't actually an organized plan to kill them. Unfortunately, Whitney, as well as her daughter Bobby, had the unfortunate experience of choosing to bring into their lives people who were focused more on the material plane rather than the spiritual. And unfortunately, Whitney's death was connected to damage to her body through many years of drug use. And I believe Bobby, her daughter's death, was connected to also being with somebody who was an abusive partner. In each case, both of them had people in their lives who sought their own pleasure over the well-being of their partners. And unfortunately, both of them suffered. And you know, I know you don't understand it, but we see a lot of injustice, a lot of cruelty in the world. And, you know, this is why following a spiritual path and being devoted to it and honoring your soul, your body, your mind, your higher self is so important. Because when those people enter your life or anybody's life, your spiritual wisdom will give you the foresight to keep them at bay and not bring them in closer. Unfortunately, both Whitney and her daughter Bobby Christina did not have the foresight at the time to see basically the darkness that was entering their lives. And unfortunately, they paid a terrible price. So it's a lesson for all of us. Be mindful of who you are, who you associate with. Be mindful of your own sense of who the people are around you. And if you work with your spirit guides, you won't ever have to go that path. Okay. Blessings to you. Good letter. Thanks for writing. All right. Our next letter is from Rockstar of the Future. It says, Dear Bob, do I have any type of synesthesia? This is a good question. Now, synesthesia, just for those of you who are not familiar with it, this is a type of it's kind of a psychic, in a sense, it's kind of like a psychic thing, though neurologists would say it's a mental issue. But what it is that when one sense activates another. For example, we may see with our eyes the color blue, but every time somebody with synesthesia might see the color blue, they may taste, like have a sense in their taste of like copper in their mouth or a metallic taste. So like the color blue would stimulate another sense. So two senses independent of each other would be stimulated by each other. And I have to tell you, around you, I do pick up a little bit of synesthesia. I feel like you're connected to sight and sound. I feel like you see images and yet you hear tones associated with them. And I want you to kind of look at that because I feel like for you, this is actually a type of channeling. And it's connected to you hearing the sphere, the sound of the spheres. In the spirit world, there's a tonal sound, there's music. It's very heavenly. You know, you're talking about that music of heaven. Well, that energy, for some people that are sensitive, they can hear the sound of heaven. And I feel like for you that you can look at objects and sense tone. So yes, you do have some synesthesia. I feel this is actually a gift, not a curse. And the secret for you to working with it is to actively be aware of it and choose to honor it by keeping records of it. So let's say you see a beautiful car and you hear a melody in your head. Well, write down those notes and see if you can create music or song based on what you receive from those impressions. I think that will be wonderful. And I think your synesthesia is actually a blessing and will prove to be one in the coming years. Thanks for writing. All right, our next letter is from Carolyn N. And she says, Dear Psychic Bob, is it possible to have an extraterrestrial as a guide? Carolyn, that's a very good question. Yes, it is. You know, as we go further into the future, we're going to start to see that there really is a connection between all life, between people in the body and people in the spirit. And the extraterrestrials, many of them, have mastered the ability to understand and work in the astral plane. For them, their bodily forms in some cases have evolved into beings of pure light to where they don't have a solid flesh tone as we do, but their bodies are composed of light. So there are ETs that are very advanced spiritually as well as materially, and yes, they can serve as spirit guides. I would encourage you to do research on the Galactic Brotherhood or also the Ashtar Command. These are basically extraterrestrials who are interacting with the Earth now to basically help in evolution and really prevent us from destroying ourselves. And many of them have reached out to various channels and mediums and even just individuals who didn't know they were psychic to give them messages and to guide them. So yes, there are extraterrestrials that are actually serving in the same role really as spirit guides. And as I said, ultimately, we're going to find down the road that because everything is energy and that interconnectedness of all life, that, you know, what's spirit, what's material will start to merge, and you'll find that, yes, these type of guides can and do exist. Hope that helps. Thanks for writing. Well, guys, listen, that's all the letters I'm going to get to today. I'm so glad you're here. Listen, keep it here at Spirit Channel. We got more coming. Be back here on Thursday. We're going to have another aliens video. We're going to continue on the Andromedans because there's a lot more I want to talk about with that. So be here Thursday, and we'll see you back then. Blessings to all of you. And, of course, you know, next week we'll have another Messages from the Spirit